Going live, going live, going live. You're alive. You're alive, dressed in black for the black gold that died today. It died today by $9.50 from somewhere in the 40s to low end of the 30s. That's right, $9. How are you guys? Yes, it's a live stream from the man who said short all oils, short oil service companies, short them into the ground. It's Greta season. The green is the power, and the carbon black oil must die. Die, she says. And so you trade it short to the short side, and you trade all your oil service companies to the short side. What do you find? You find, if you followed my YouTube, actually did one today, expected fire and brimstone on the oil markets today. I didn't expect. I came back after my YouTube and saw the Saudi news saying, well, if Russia's going all in and going to try get all the money it can from its oil reserves, while stocks last, while there's still an oil demand market, it's going to go in too. So there is no more OPEC controlled price. It's kind of like the De Beers diamond selling cartel suddenly breaking up, and everybody wants to undo everybody else, and everybody wants to eat everybody else's dinner. So they want your contract to sell the oil, and now they're all offering the best deals. And what's happened? A $9 drop. So the Saudis said in a Bloomberg article, let me just refer to other laptop and screen on this side. They will approach the Asian markets and offer huge discounts to entice the contracts, and will increase to over 11 million barrels a day. 11 million barrels a day. I did warn you about that Aramco. I wonder how those shares are going to be looking come opening Monday morning down in good old Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I wonder about all those people that rushed to receive the kind benevolence of their dictator-in-chief and butcher of journalists in embassies around the world. I wonder how they feel about their equities now. So, quick hello to Ukraine. Kelowna, yes, how are you? Hans Danzig, yo, it's a spiller, it's a thriller, it's the big one in Manila, says Josh W. False freedom craziness. This is markets hitting their transgender phase. They are decapitating. I decided, I'm getting to that age. The only way is to lose a few kilos is to go for that final cut downstairs. It's that kind of market. It's gone into the transgendering phase. The testicles are gone. It's running around. It doesn't know if it's fish nor fowl. And this is what you get. You get a whole bunch of weird and gap openings. Who doesn't like that? Wow. On those shorts, check the amounts. Brent crude plunges 25% after Saudi. My little spread bet thingy popping up messages, blah, 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 and it's all oil. And I'm saying, well, we kind of said this. We said it's coming. We said it's coming, and it could get worse. And the worse it gets, the more itself feeds on itself. Because you think markets are orderly. You think they gravitate towards that medium. Like, I'm bidding $250,000 for your house, and you won 500. And so we come down, and I eventually pay 375, and you've come down 125, and I've bid up. No, they're not orderly like that. What happens is, certain nations need a certain amount of revenue out of their oil. And as a result, when they're not getting it, they have to pump more of it because they're selling it so cheap. And when they're all in the same situation and they're not working together, controlling prices, as Rockefeller, competition is sin. All your markets you think that have been free price discovery markets have been controlled release markets, a taxation on you, the petrodollar and the oil scam. It has been, you've been overcharged for your energy your entire life of existence. You should not have been paying. And when we had the absolute boom of everybody rich and property millionaires because they've dropped the interest rates and we're all long rental properties into 2007, they pushed their little thermostat of the Rockefeller tax right up to $130, $140, and they're skimming off all your wealth, and then they plunge you and they strip your asset vaporware wealth right the way down, and then suddenly there's no more expenditure, so they have to drop that tax right the way down. And this is what's happening, guys. Only thing is, we've never had a peak supply, like so many Muppets have said, peak oil, peak supply. No, we've actually crossed peak demand, in my opinion. So this industry and game will become a smaller one. It's not going to happen overnight, but this is where we're at. Anyway, when live. I'm hoping we're live now. We're coming to you in black and white, a little bit snowy white here, and black t-shirts. So what have you guys got to say? How about salad oil? You think S&P crashes more, or my 40K is in it? Travis Taylor. Ouch. I think, difficult one, Travis. I wouldn't have been in your situation. You should be stacking the metals, and metals will crash. So here's what's going to happen. Fear now, everything goes to cash. People sell Bitcoin. Who noted Bitcoin? They're supposed to be separate to the control structure, printing presses and all of that, crashes, because the same people that are in the markets, in the traditional markets, are also speculating a little bit in Bitcoin and are fearing for their cash. So they are selling. They are selling because they're going to get margin calls. They're all leveraged to the hilt. So what actually happens is your good defensive assets first fall in the fear. In fact, the only thing that doesn't fall in the fear is the yen. Believe it or not, the stepping stones you should be all are long yen right now, short all the emergings. We're speaking about oil. Note the USD ruble open. Tweeted out that chart. If you're not following at the Market Sniper, please do. You will be able to get all this information and some cranky tweets on a regular basis out of yours truly. So follow it and make sure you grab it. This is the Reset Sniper content. It is indeed. We're pushing it through the Market Sniper because it's so much about what we've spoken about in terms of traditional markets, but it could indeed go through the Reset channel, because this is beginning of I say beginning. It's actually been beginning for a long time, but it goes slowly. It's like watching a glacier. You're sitting there and you're staring and you say, is that moving? I'm not really sure it is. I actually need to stop staring at it and come back a week later. And then I've noticed that dirty chunk of ice is no longer aligned with a tree and it's moved 1.5 meters. And then suddenly it goes from moving slowly to moving damn quick. And it trains you and it bores you into thinking you've got plenty of time. And then bam, lightning strikes. And you should have been long here. You should have been long there. You should have been short there and there. And suddenly you're left chasing. And you realize this thing is going slowly until it gets disorderly. And it's reaching the disorderly moment right here, right now. So yeah, 401ks. Well, I mean, just don't be long oil, don't be long debt. Get out of everything that is debt instruments. I don't know if you can go short in 401ks. I don't think you can do that. It's not really trading. It's a holding account. It's kind of like owns shares only. I would own gold shares. They're going to fall and just sit them out. You see, the key thing is with 401s, it's very hard to jump in and out all the time. They're not scalper accounts. At the end of the day, they're supposed to be things you sit on for a while. And the problem is the gold and silver will go down, in my opinion, as everyone scrambles for cash and fear to see to their short-term needs and gets margin squeezed and liquidated here, there, and everywhere. But you want to be long it. So maybe if you can get into cash and money markets, and then you can move into both the metal or certain of the miners. I expect them to do exceptionally well. So that's my 401 advice. Back to the beautiful content. Beautiful content, Bruma. Good, Barnaby Steiner. Thank you for your interest. Good morning from Australia, Francis. Love your work. Thanks, Mick. Circle Wagon. It's going to be spectacular. Here it comes. The scammer, you can be short ETF in 401s. Yes, there are some ETFs that are shorts. Thank you for that comment. The scammer, you're quite right. You can be short. There is actually a triple short crude oil at the moment, in fact. Now, I'm not telling you to speculate on oil in your 401k. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a financial advisor. I would say that most of them are going to do damage to you anyway, so you've got a better chance possibly with me than with one, but I'm not regulated in any way. So take anything I say with a pinch of salt, as you should anybody. So I would say the ones you're happy to sit with for 3 or 4 possible years, maybe even at least certainly 6 months. And I would say the safest way to play that is precious metals and precious metals miners, if it were me at the moment. And I would expect it to go down, and I would just sit it out because you don't want to be, as I say, scalping and hopping in and out. Love and respect from Italy. Adri, nice. Thank you for checking in from the beautiful country of Italy. I'm sure you're just fine. Everybody's all coronavirus about Italy. It's a bunch of nonsense. $9.5 was the drop down, crypto love. It was the drop down, knock JPY down 5%. Yes, so that's an interesting pair. Well done to Rob McBrien for reminding me about it. Norway, your reason that socialism is a success and can work, apart from the fact that there's very few people and they sit on a huge oil field, which could be a justification for any political system, including Scientology and Mr. Hubbard and a spaceship, I'm sure, because money bails everything out in the end. And if you just happen to have largesse in that front and not too many people to look after, it's kind of easy. You can make a case for anything. But Norway will go down with oil, and Norwegian krona is one that's been bleeding out against the dollar and the euro, against the yen. The yen is a beast, guys. I keep saying it's the fear. Kyle Bass is wrong, in my opinion, on the yen. He's so smart and he's so right about lots of things. But in my opinion, I have a different one. Yen is your fear, and it's triggered. It's triggered. There's a huge level at 105 that just got run a couple of times during the last, how long is it? Checks chart, bring up the yen. We've got 33 on the oil, a small bounce from 31.5 where it opened. So you can, don't go short. Careful, guys. At this open at the bottom, you needed to be short earlier. That's why I have a YouTube channel. That's why you watch, and that's why you got to take decisions. If you get short right on the low of the gap open low, and it spends the next 3 days trading up against that $9 and recoups 4 of it, you'll be murdered. You will be murdered. You can't FOMO into trades. This is the whole thing about what we do. There's a mini series below. Go watch and understand. You need to be early. You do not FOMO in once late. You need to have the discipline to wait for a full comeback to a key level of significance. You need to know what a key level of significance is, what gets determined by it, how do you do it, what method to use to determine those. That's what we do. In other words, we've been talking the short oil game, and we've been talking the short oil shares. So the USD JPY is sitting at 104, and the key level I call out, I think is around 104.5, and it's sitting at 104.344. In other words, how many years? Let's get it off the half-hour time frame that it's on, and give you, since the dips in July, October of 16, since 17, every time we came. And these markets are rigged, guys. Trust me, the Euro USD has been rigged for a while. It's in certain ranges. They control these things. The 105, you had a 105 line here, and it wasn't allowed. Every time it ran the 105, it got spiked off it. It ran in 18, 23rd of March. It ran again in the beginning of 19. Remember how badly we ended 18 and dipped into 19. What a terrible first quarter it was. And then it ran again down in August again. So that the cycle's getting shorter, and it keeps coming down to this line, and the bounces are getting less strong. And now we've just thrown it after the Japanese announced a recession and as bearish news as possible. And it ran up to 112. It's just thrown it in short succession all the way down to 104. And that's a lot of pips, my fine friends. That's a lot of pips on a big major currency pair. This is a major. This isn't a major against an emerging. So for me, if it comes back to my blue line, if you aren't already short it, and this, by the way, is a trade that we will look to see the running of the 88 level. We'll trade through that as a target. That's our expectation. So the fear is just starting. The fear is just starting. It's just triggered it just in time on that gap. It was very close to it on Friday. It's just triggered our just-in-time entry, and it jumped over the line. Now, do you think that invalidates our level or validates our level? You'll learn all about that on a course and method, and how it gives us further confidence in our trades, our targets, and our stops as a result of that price behavior. John Belushi, so true. Francis Live, Mitch S likes that. Good. Yeah, glad to be performing for you. Ken Adams, so gas should follow oil. So gas was already really low, and it's not going to get any bids because oil is going to get real cheap, and they are substitutes for each other. But some things are, like a gas oven is set only for gas. It's not too easily switched for oil. You don't do it for a few bucks, but they are correlated to a degree. Let's have a look if we have any gas price. I don't know if there would be any gas futures, gas, low sulfur gas, fuel. Yeah, let's see if we can get anything with a chart. You would expect it to be soft as well. And I'm seeing if this is current, low sulfur, it says 5th of March. No, that's still a Friday number, but it's been behaving it's drawn a very similar chart to oil. It's drawn a very similar chart to oil, and we've been short the oil for a bit, and they try to shake us out, the jammy little gits. Brent is down 25%. That is huge. The USD Mexican, you think it's just about the ruble and the oil thing. This is an emerging markets FX crisis. I was talking about this on the YouTube today. Stay away from the equity markets. They're going to whiplash depending on some of the biggest pumps occur in crashes, most violent. But runaway trains on things like the emerging currencies, they'll still be volatile. But if they're heading for a certain target level, you get in at the right time, you can probably sit in and forget and enjoy the ride. It's going to be much less pushback. That doesn't mean equities aren't going to fall really hard, really far. I do think so. I just think they're very dangerous. These volatile periods generally kill retail traders who lack method. And I'm afraid to say, you think you have method, but you probably don't. You think you have method, you probably don't, unless you're with a sniper team. And even still, the scope for poor execution is wrong. You needed to be in the trade prior to the explosion in volatility. That's what we do. We get in the trade on the squeeze, not on the explosion. Now you're chasing the sparks and the fireworks. That's far more dangerous. You need to get properly set before all the things get lit up. Okay, so gas should follow oil generally. Hello from Croatia. Your opinion on Bitcoin? So Bitcoin will sell off first with the fear, just like gold, just like silver. But the longer term future is very, very bright. So in what's essentially going to be a fear, depression, help us, problem reaction, that we're in the problem reaction, not the solution phase. Whilst we're experiencing the problem and having this reaction, what happens is they first need everything to collapse. So it's all horrible. The only thing that's good for me is my short trades, which were betting that everything would collapse. The only thing that goes up are people that were already short. Chasing short now, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. That's why you need to be thinking of it. Brent, I still can't get over Brent. It sounds like a higher percentage than WTI. WTI 9 on 42. It's probably also, it's not far off 25%, but Brent will have closed the premium on WTI with a 25% fall. Let me just see where that baby's opened up. See, make sure that I've also got today's day. Yes, 9th of March, 45. And it was, what was it? Is that, make sure I've got today right. It says 6th of March. Nah, it's not, I've not got the fresh Brent number. Let me just check it on the dealer platform. Brent oil. It must have come down quite a bit. So it was 45 already on Friday. Crude oil Brent. Chart for you coming up. And a quote. Whoop, 35. Blimey, that's not much more than WTI, which is 33. That premium has closed an immense amount. That's a great gap. Oh, I love that. The smell of napalm. The smell of napalm cheers me no end. You know, I should be an anti-war bloke who doesn't like that. But this kind of napalm cheers me up no end. My ruble trade is up. My tallow oil, I can't wait for that share to open tomorrow. Oh, beautiful. Hello, talk to me. You're going to be heading for your single-digit target like that. Oh, you beauty. Plains All American. These are my portfolio. Crude oil West. You see, you get lucky, guys. You end up with 7 positions that have all gapped into cash. You get kind of lucky the minute you have method and the minute you make sure your trades are on early before everyone else is rushing. That's the game. That's the game. Who else? Ken Adams. So Gas should follow. Mitch, yeah, good to see you, buddy. Let's see what else is happening. Barnaby Stainer, thanks, Gray. He's saying Zoom is a good stock to buy. I'm not sure about buying any stocks right now, guys. Cheap oil means wells closing in emerging markets. Worked in oil and gas through the last big drop. Many jobs get cut. Yes, it's going to be hard on emerging markets. Let me say, not just the emerging FX, but also the commodity currencies. Canadian is going to have a kick in the jack side. It won't be as spectacular as the emergings, but it will hurt. And there's a big oil element in there. Alberta. Who's from Alberta? Well, they support more than just Alberta. USD CAD gapped it. Oh, baby. They're going to feel the pain. This is on my inversion chart. So I look at everything upside down as well. I'm like Batman. I hang from the ceiling. It's good. I'm maybe trying to resurrect my hair follicles. I don't know. But no, Canada down. And that was the upside chart. That's right. So I've got one the right way around, one the wrong way around. Nice big gap on that. We were talking about it on non-farm. It's gone straight to the bit where it jumps. And this is what you would have missed if you weren't with us on the non-farm payrolls. And that is what we'd call a breakout. Gaps are the biggest clue to a breakout event having taken place. That means we have a triggering event. That means now all targets become live. All the orders get put in place. The stops are in. This is where the sitting is, and you can just watch P&Ls. That's a big move on USD CAD, and these guys are serious about slugging it out over this oil. So I'm thinking, good things happening on the FX. All your FX trades start to come in. They all happen together. They all happen together. ODL, says Barnaby Stainer. I'm not too sure what he's on about there. Yamana. Yeah, Yamana. John Belushi. Yes, I remember that. Barrick and Yamana. Miners. I'm not sure miners will be up initially, guys. I think the shares, I might disagree with Mr. Belushi. I think they will be up in the long term. They will be up. They may not be up tomorrow. The problem is the people that own oil shares on margin also have minor shares, also have equity. And when they have to close accounts and when they have to get off leverage, they have to sell everything because nearly always over leverage. Remember that retail traders margin leverage at all-time highs? Those charts I've been sharing with you. If you're following on the Twitter and mentioning occasionally on YouTube's, this is where these things bite. Everything gets closed. Everything's for sale, including the good things you should never sell in this kind of environment because they forced sellers. They forced sellers. Most people over leverage and they want to be a little bit in everything and they buy a little bit here and they buy a little bit there. The key thing is to just say you don't want to own most things. I don't want to own general shares. I don't own any Apple, and it's gone up tons and tons because the day I buy it, it could possibly, if it's not an HVF structure and it's not in my method, that is, without a target, just as an investment, is the day this event arrives. And my whole name, my whole premise, my whole existence is about the fact that this reset is coming. I'm not going to go do exactly the opposite and hope to be out of the game and what I actually am saying will happen, and then be the guy losing money on what he's predicted. That's a fraudulence. So the whole thing is accumulate gold, keep accumulating what's right, the day will come. Accumulate silver, accumulate gold miners, accumulate silver miners. Silver will lag initially, and it has. Gold has been the lead steer. Follow the God market first. Then you can start rotating once silver starts waking up and the tap out occurs on the gold silver ratio. You rotate a little bit out of your gold miners into your silver miners and your gold into your silver. But then you're already just tweaking and you've got all your money in the right places. And that means for a long time it's in the wrong places, and you have to watch Microsoft put on $1 trillion on its market cap. You have to watch Apple and say, I don't want to play the fake, phony economy game. That's the tough part. You have to say, are you sure you're right about this? These guys can continue doing this stuff for 3 years. That doesn't matter. You keep accumulating at the cheap prices for when moon. And then you are nice and fat and heavy in that right place, and you've stayed disciplined. That's investing now. That's not trading with leverage on an HVF. That's fundamentally investing. Then you're strong. Yep, so the begging of the end of the euro dollar, a foreign dollar denominated debt will be needed. Look at Lebanon, it's just the beginning. Yes, I heard there's some news about Lebanon and the euro dollar. We're going to have to watch that. And the notion, this is the thing, the only thing that worries me a little bit on Raul's message of Real Vision, and I suggest following them. Great program, great guests. Most of the advice right, or the things they find out right. Hit us up for some likes, by the way, guys. Get us some attention. Help us grow the channel. It's really appreciated. There's 434 of you on board. That's pretty awesome. Almost. Let's hit 500. Let's hit 500. We can do 500. We only need 45 more people on. Hit those likes up and do the share button. Just do the share. Say, hey, we're talking to the guy in the black t-shirt. He looks like Mussolini's henchman. The neo-Nazis are here calling the end to the oil market. No, not quite. But yeah, so hit us up and get us shared up. Let's get those numbers right through the roof. Yeah, brokers, some haven't booted up yet. You'll have some nice equity if you're short. Barry Marshall, Italy trying to ban short selling. Yes, you're going to see this coming. Barry's right. Italy and other countries have a bit of the orange. Let's put some color in this black and white. This is pure carrot and ginger late at night. I've got it. I'm trying to kill my coronavirus that the control structures injected me with. I had to run around kissing and hugging a few people to make sure I take a few down with me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm otherwise healthy, but I've got a naggy flu. I don't believe it is the one. But what about gold? Susan, oil is done. So yes, oil I do think will go very low, but then it will eventually recover. This is not a short forever. It's not a short to naught, guys. Don't get too excited now because we've had a sell-off, and we may not even hit the single digits. You know, we've called out, we've been bold, and we've got a target for it. Patterns can fail, etc. There's no guarantees, but it's looking pretty good. You know, when you drop $9, 25% in a single day. PAA, what was it? It was in $12, sitting heavy with puts. Those puts have more than doubled, and now we're going to shed 25% on oil. Can't wait to see how many dollars that one drops. It'll be great news. You know, when you hit on your P&L, refresh button. Okay, we're all addicts. We all like to see money clocking into our accounts. It's always good. Just the numbers change and the scale. I wonder about coronavirus and vaccines. Oh, it's a great way for them to backdoor vaccines. It's a great way for them to put these super microscopic microchips inside you that they can then switch you off with some mercury surprise anytime they think you're gonna start leaning on the pension scheme and there's not enough loot around. I repeat, I will not go on any free medical injection scheme as a result of this coronavirus that comes out of this entire narrative. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'll certainly discourage any family of mine. So this whole bio threat is manufactured. These are not people that have your interests at heart. There's a very dark forces involved here. You have an immune system. It served you exceedingly well. And hopefully the vaccines you would have had pushed on your parents on you when you were really young were not yet the full lethal variety, although they were stuffed with mercury. So just watch it. I don't want to go too conspiratorial there, but who knows? Do you think equities will do rebound again, or high probability of full-blown reset? I think these control structure companies are not going away, but I have to say there is a lot of shit equities that have bought their own stock, that have loaded up with debt. This is total communism. in my view. So the banks will essentially own large part of these companies because they've been encouraged to borrow to pump their stock. So what then happens is the government backstops the banks when the banks are bust. So essentially government indirectly owns substantial stakes in most mega corps. So the stock market is now, a government invested vehicle. And that's how you get your global communism. Government owns assets. Government's in the business now of private companies, and some of the biggest in the world. And that's a grand shame. And I'm afraid that's where we are. The market gangster, yes, I like it. What's the oil ticker? There's a few. It depends whether we were, the last one I was looking at was USD CAD here on the charts. But Brent, just type in the word Brent on TradingView and you'll get UK oil. You can type in UK oil as well. And that's actually one of the better markets to watch. I've just said that, but I don't think they've updated. Brent hasn't. You'll have to go onto your trading station to do Brent. And that's where I saw it was 35.9. So the thing with a big gap like this, as I say, it's quite possible that through a reasonable part of the day, it can look to try close that gap. And there'll be mood music to try keep it up. And who knows, those shale debt on the HYG, all these trades are correlated. Energy, bad debt, that's junk level. I think 15% of HYG is actually energy-based debt that is high yield. So that debt is going to become beautifully useless with this sell-off as well. So those of you that followed us in on the HYG short will enjoy that too. What else have we got? Mussolini's henchmen, that's right. I think there were brown shirts and black shirts and all of them. I can't remember all that time. I just saw the black one, and I haven't worn that one in a while. Does the Fed comment on oil on Monday? It's not their job to comment on oil directly, although they might be brought to do it. I'm not sure the Fed is even talking on Monday, unless they chose to make some statement. I think the Eurozone is having, what day was that? Thursday, the Eurozone speaks. And I think what they'll do is a half-assed, half-hearted, not as strong as the dollar. Why is the dollar doing the bulk of the quantitative easing stroke, money easy, rate cuts stuff, you might be asking? Because it's not just about the stock market. Like, as I say, the stock market is the small beer in the world of markets. You guys need to realize this. This is big. We're wrong at a big level in the big markets. It's the currencies. You already have a disorderly falling apart of India, Brazil. These are not small countries, guys. You're talking about 1.1 billion in India. You've probably got the better part of, I wouldn't want to guess how many the population of Brazil, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's 250 million. Or deep in the hundreds. I know Mexico's 111 odd million. I would expect Brazil to be more. Someone Google that for us and set me straight. But the whole point is these are big populations, and they are in deep trouble. They've been losing money for a long time. Then you've got the Turkish lira. We're getting more slippage. USD try. Yay! Come on, the try. Love it. It's just such great news to get these beeps that are just telling you you're making money hand over fist as all the emergings fail. You've got to remember, though, that we are trading much the same idea. They're all correlated. It's not that I'm 9 times right. It's just that I'm expressing the same idea in 9 different ways. So when they go wrong, they'll all go wrong together. Okay, so it's quite important that you have an understanding of correlation here in all of this. So we discussed, and I shared one that we expected an upside break on the try. Let's just see, did I get my second fill? I sure did. Yeah, go on, march him up some more. So Turkish lira, also not an oil play, but it's going to suffer as part of the emerging category. It's in the mix there with this, the whole mess that is the Middle East. Let's just see. Thursday, ECB press conference. So they may make like a 25 basis points cut or something. The key thing is they need the dollar to do the bulk of the weakening, because all these emergings have dollar-denominated debt. What happens is if all the big nations cut their currencies, it's almost like they're all back on the same level again, and the emerging still continue to lose against the dollar. The dollar relative to the others. You've got to remember, the Saudi riyal is fixed against the dollar. There's Middle Eastern pegs against the dollar. There's China that is supposed to have a soft peg against the dollar. Let's see how that CHY is holding up against the dollar with these interesting times. I'm still sitting there and waiting to get a proper flinch out of the Koreans, but they've just done a good job, supposedly, so far of containing. Long may that be the case, although I wouldn't mind my trade to kick off, of containing the corona element. I'm not seeing any numbers or changes on my CNH. Chinese yuan. Nope. Oh, this is my inverted chart. That's the clip. No, I haven't got data yet, I don't think. Oh, it is 9. Yeah, so we're not seeing too much action there. So it's on the try. So the Asia is actually holding together okay. I think the things like the peg on the Hong Kong dollar is going to have problems. Let's just see USD HKD. So most pegs to the dollar are going to, there's going to be a dollar milkshake theory event to a degree. Just the difference for me is that the yen will do even better. So the NOK yen that was mentioned by one of you fine fellas is not a bad idea and one to watch. In New York, Brooklyn, and we're chilling. Hey, welcome. Good. I'm glad you're chilling with us here. I think the same as you, But, says Mark. Yes, indeed. He sounds local. I heard something about chaga mushrooms resisting the CV. Oh, that's good. I like mushrooms. I eat them, all varieties. On toast with cheese and the ones that take you to La La Land. I think it's good for the soul. Your thoughts on ETFs such as SJBs, short junk bonds? I've never shorted markets and these seem safe long-term to time the markets. Your thoughts on ETFs such as SJBs, short junk bonds? I've never shorted markets. So I'm all for shorting debt. There's a debt problem, bad debt. But you got to choose your timing. You might find that some of these things have a dodgy start and they might gap open. So entries matter. You got to get your entries right. Providing you can hang on through those first few days and it moves in your favor, and then it's moved away from your stop losses, and don't have too tight a stop unless you have a justification. We engineer tight stops where we have real lines in the sand. And then we expect the market to break and move away from them quickly. That's how we get our comfort. Oil down to $10 in what time, and then recover on what price? Who knows? We need to see how this plays out. The whole game is if you're trying to take a certain amount of supply that has ruined the oil market off, which is supposedly the US fracking industry, you got to suppress the price down until they are run bankrupt. So you've got to lock in losses for the banks that have been backing the fracking industry in America, because that is the crowd that took America from being an oil importer to energy independent. And it was Obama who first started handing out those licenses. Hey, we threw 515, we got 135 likes. Thanks for hitting the thumbs up button and sharing our link for your friends to come and join us. I just went full conspiracy, says Gustav. Yeah, quite possible. The more deadly virus to be released next winter. I think they're working this thing. I think, it's all a drill. They do the first run. This whole Ebola, Zika, these were all just, how do we handle the news flow and how do we do all this and the social media and who's going to So this is an operation. It's military. Yeah, that's my take anyway. And there will be more. And it's kind of like a control structure does harvesting of the old and weak. We're going to have major pension crisis, and it's quite handy if a lot of old people die. Limerick, what do you think of CV stocks like IBIQ? I don't know this. I don't know the stock. I'm assuming you're talking about things that will sell potential cures. I do think there's a potential crash, big crash in the stocks. I'm not sure how far and how bad, but let's just put it this way. You're probably going to lose between 15 and 30% on many oil-based stocks if they see an oil war that could push the price down by 25%, which is what Brent has just fallen. So as long as that's going to be sustainable, and what you might find is quite important, this stocks like gold and silver miners might be leveraged to the gold and silver price. So you get a small move on gold and you get a major upside move in a miner that's just gone from being marginally profitable, just making a few cents, to suddenly making $10 on an ounce of gold. So they go from making a few cents to $10, they can actually pump. So marginal players could go bust on those kind of moves, and even quite big players that have a 25% reduction in what they're doing, that could take them from being $5 or $10 profitable to $5 or $10 loss making. So that is not a good thing. So, and they can only carry that for so long. And how many banks are keen to backstop an industry that's coming under real threat, with two major producer nations slugging it out and saying, we're going to just get supply. We want our money for this product. We're not going to sit with it in the ground anymore. We don't know for how many more years people are going to want it on the same scale. We want to get what money we can right now for this product. Euro Mexican is up 7.2%. Yay, buddies. Need to keep popping those trades on. The try is trotting. Let's have a look. So how's our USD JPY? It's going down. It's 103. So it was such a key level, 105, guys. It is absolutely hurdled our just-in-time entry with a substantial gap. If you weren't short early on that one, and it was 112 on the 20th of Feb. Through 112 on the 20th of Feb. It's 103. That is a huge move between majors. People don't realize there's big ructions. This has been a very stable pair. The Rand is in trouble. It had a major spike to 16.3 for the South Africans on there. Plenty wrong with SA to get a kick between the legs. It just needs to be brought into focus, and that thing can go 20 pretty easy. Mexican, for the love of tequila, I give you the Mexican. Yeah, it is in a runaway breakout, guys. It has been, it broke. We know we went and redrew. We know when it broke, and it is a runaway breaker. Wow. And it's gone. It's actually gone from its gap, and it's pumped further. It's 21.3. We're expecting close to 25 as a target, but that is such a move. You could have had it in for 19s, and it's already, wow. What a trade. These guys are going to, and the thing is, there's overperformance on here. When things get deeply disorderly, as I expect they will, there's going to be complete blow-offs. So yeah, 7.2% on Mexican, says Rob McBrien. You've heard it here. You heard us talking about these emergings. We told you which one they were. So yes, I do think there's a decent stock market crash. What else have we got for you? NK Missile. Yeah, we haven't. That's the only thing that hasn't happened yet. What shall we do when our internet service provider forces us to take the mark? Never take the mark. Never take the mark of the beast, he says. Compton's galore, billionaires becoming millionaires. The game is afoot. GAN trading systems and time cycle. GAN financial table 2020 is a year of panic. Expect deep bear markets 30 to 50. Yeah, you could be right. False flags, last attempt to make it seem the world go mad. Elliott Wave oil target is telling me $6. Yep, we've generated a target of that amount on, I think Brent might have been, it wasn't just US was 6, just under 6, 5 or 4, and Brent was sub 10 as well. What shall we do in our, yeah, so DMC, low oil helps the miners, it does. Do I need to buy dollars from Russia? Ruble is going to get hurt. Get out of the ruble. And I mean, you know, I'm here in South Africa at the moment, but I don't carry many rands. Ideally, have yen, but yes, dollars is the safe and largely easy one. So I mean, we change to pricing in dollars on everything we do. Soon we'll only have clients from America, which would be very sad, not because we don't like Americans, we love them, but we also want clients from the rest of the world. But there could be a USD ZAR moon, says Marcelo Soares. Yep, I'm afraid so. Rourke McLean, how are you? Long-time follower. Yes, glad to have you, especially for your long-time support. How much can they pump down? Give us a thumbs up if you haven't already, my long-time supporters. And share it. How do you see USD Crow? That is the KRW. Slow at the moment, and then suddenly fast. So Korean won, you know, that's a proper country with good companies and all of that. You've got to let all the emergings run first, and then I think the Korean one goes. And it'll probably be a second bite of the virus thing that suddenly flares up again, or some trade war with Japan or something. Their relationship has been coming a bit frayed. Aussie has been weak and is due to be further weak. It's just so late to chase in. Chase the CAD for shorts, but I still think it'll go lower, the Aussie, because they're trying to shake off lack of China demand, which they relied on, a property boom, and they're wearing all the reflation, deflation of the property market through the currency so that they can save their banks. I had shorts waiting forever on NAB, and they never did much. And then I decided I'd use the margin for something else. XOU knocking on 1700. Do we have any gold charts at here? I would have thought XAU would be weak first in the fear and coming strong later. It's interesting. Have we got some dollar gold price numbers coming? He's quite right, Phil Kogan, he is. That is a good move. That means there has been some support for gold. Typically last time, it doesn't mean it has to be the same this time, but typically last time, when the fear came, gold actually sold off. And that's why I think Bitcoin has sold off a little bit as well, because the speculators and the risk seekers are involved in every game and they're getting beaten up. Paul here. Hello, Paul. How are you? USD Mexican had orders for second chance. Do we now set at gap fill instead? I would split the gap. The problem with the Mexican fill is that it's run. It's not only gapped open, but from the gap, it's continued to run. It's run away from its gap. So if we have a look at it, yeah, this chart's not updating. It's still got, because the way it was set up on the 6th of March, it actually looked like it was going to revisit down, and then all this news came. So this chart I've got here isn't giving me valid stuff. Let me look at the trading platforms. Trading view, I've not, Mexican is trading at 2109. It's had a proper pop to the upside. So it's a difficult one to chase. It's in breakout, unfortunately. And it did do, I'm not sure if it's now probably taken over. It's definitely taken the first interim, and it's probably already taken the second high. Let me just see. Had a small amount of Mexican on this platform. Got too many places, and some are well positioned and some are less well. Because I thought there was a chance we might get a little gap back, and then the Saudi and the Russian news came, and I realized that's our ball game. So let's have a look at on a live feed. Yeah, so it's at 2108. It has taken the relative high 2. That means it is already in proper breakout. And I expect already it's done the second interim. So I'm going to wait to add further to it. And I have some limit orders that were missed and some that were filled. I'd look to get a little bit more in it, but I just can't stomach chasing in here. I think our first the second interim is probably made, and I think it'll give us a chance from our funnel, which we'll cover in the sniper circle, and we'll get back on the dip back. So you'll be fine. We'll talk about that in the looms, Paul. GAN trading, love your work, Francis. Thank you very much. We took a few chances and made some crazy calls, and sometimes you get lucky, but we will be wrong. Gold gap to 1697. That's good news. Dow futures down 1,000. That's great news. I think it is for just the reset coming. So up $23. So gold has been strong. Gold has been strong. Andrew Dubas, gold on monthly chart looks like RH2 trend view. Could get a pullback. It's possible, or it could be already in runaway mode. This is going to be great for my gold miner juniors calls. So most of the things I had puts on, but I took gold junior miners, GDXJ on calls, and they went a little bit underwater. It'll be nice when silver comes around, as I'm sitting with not XAG I've got silver, the commodity, but also AG, the First Majestic. So you can watch that one, see if it gets lively again. JR is upset with somebody about other people's country and people you'll kill most of the world. I don't know who he's talking to there. Gold gapped up to 1697. Yeah, strong break. So gold is looking proper. And HBF method is self-derived, Barry. So it was developed by me. No one taught me, I'm afraid. I learned a lot from many people of other things that gave me enough tools to then come to conclusions and develop it. Bought USD Mexican in 1910 on your opinion that oil would crash. Thanks for your observations. Yeah, good, Mr. Humbert. That's the idea. I'm glad you're making money. Will oil fill the gap? I don't think it will. I think it will attempt and maybe make part of it. So not all gaps get filled. So 1,700 gold will be a big number. They might try pump oil with some cranky false flag. I've had suspicions about that whole Saudi. There were a couple. There was a drone story and there were other things. And actually one of them got us shaken out that we had to get back in, and we ate some red on that. Bitcoin to be replaced by third-gen ledgers hashcraft in 2020. I think it's rare that the initial tech is the final tech. So I'm open to that. And we've been actually watching the licensed hashcraft token. Which doesn't mean even if hashcraft does become strong that the token will necessarily be strong, but yeah. 30-year T-bond up. So the bonds have been losing immense amount on the yield and been gaining an incredible amount of value. Yep, it's HR's major oil exposure, HYG. Yes, says Jared, you are right, oil exposure. But how long to take you to learn that? Barry's still asking about HVF has taken me about 15, 20 years of development. and is still being refined and tightened. But what do you think about decentralized finance? I'm probably the last person to ask. I like the idea, but I don't think you really truly get decentralization. Here's how I see it. They'll never give you the freedom to have your own money. And you can fill in whoever you want for they. There's some people getting quite upset with who I think they are. Your view on Palladium, it's an interesting one because Palladium was doing really well. You see USD Mexican already having a little bit of a pullback after having done quite a big blow off. It'll be handy for a little return move, and you might find that the things will relax a little bit again, and then they'll get hot again, and then you'll really have the big moonings. This is big moves, but I think there's scope for it to get even hotter. So USD CAD, I would love to get USD CAD. USD Mexican, I think will cool and maybe come back because it's not quite a shooting star, but it's had quite a big wick. So a lot of people chased in and are now having to chill a little bit. So crude oil, whoa, it's thrown money at me. You sweetheart, I never took the time to work it out. It's such a nice thing to see. Deep State. Let's just hope, says Barnaby Stainer. Simon Carrera, let's just hope the spread betting companies don't decide to go into maintenance mode. Yeah. So get your shorts on. The thing that you'll find, and there was the gentleman from Italy that was reminding us that Italy are preventing shorts, is that when this thing gets properly disorderly, they won't let you trade it. So you can call it, you can be right. If you aren't in it, you won't be able to open the trade. You'll only be able to close once you're short. You won't be able to add to them. All those kind of things might occur. Bottom call on BTC, I'd need to do some charting, but it will be higher on balance of probabilities than the previous low, which was around 6.4. So I would guess, and I would say not too close broadly. So if it's sevens to eights, broadly, I would guess. Which is not really saying that much because I think it's already in the eights. It's gone as low as 8.3, so possibly high sevens, mid sevens. Is this financial Armageddon? I think it's doing a good job of emulating the early stages of a possible financial Armageddon, in which case rarely is now the moment. You get lots of little scares and all of that, but every now and then now is the moment. And I think this is what we've been waiting for. And this whole corona, it just smells of manufactured narrative to bring this whole thing down and to affect the whole world, because essentially you're causing close down of airlines, tour companies, CCL, I mean, the what's it, cruise company. Wow, man. That you might be able to short that to zero or very close. In an exceptional case. Killing the old people, no pensions to pay, says 87 GM 199. Possibly gold miners don't sell off like 2008. Yes, I think people learn a little bit and they don't do it as extreme the next time. So it's possible that this time people are a little bit smarter. Gird your loins, says Andrew. Get ready for the big one. 50KT says, not sure if you mentioned it before. Do you think the global leaders are going to use this time to usher a new financial system? Kind of, yeah, kind of. But I think they're going to first turn everything upside down for a while. They need to create chaos, poverty, job losses, pain, suffrage, and you need to be held there for a while. So they'll come riding to the rescue. Yes, CCL to zero, and other YouTubers recommending to buy. Yeah, poor bastards. No, I'm not saying CCL to zero. It was broadly quite a well-run company, but there's a lot of challenges they face in terms of what fuels they're allowed to burn now, and that was going to be a big enough challenge. And then, of course, what's happened here. So they could get bailed out. XRP generally technically is dull, Barnaby. Technically it's dull. So it remains to be seen. John Bauer, what if they know all words is long gold and they sell off equities and never let gold run? I think gold will run because people will just order it, take it physical, keep taking the gold out of the system. Do that. Don't do the ETF. I mean, you can trade the ETF if you want to for convenience, but get physical and out of the system. Have it where you control it. Once BTC USD gets back under 814 and failed to break higher, then down to 5.2 and 2.490. So Tristan Morale sees BTC down to 2.5. He wants you to know that. I don't agree personally, but it is possible, like many things. Political puppet theater. They mess up society badly, and I'm attacking my local lodge on a meeting night. Your local lodge, your Freemasonry lodge. Where does XOM open tomorrow? Which one is XOM? Is that an oil? I don't know all the codes very well, guys. Maybe I should, but I don't. XOM is, Exxon, yeah. Interesting to see that the Swiss National Bank has Exxon held. That's, of course, an ex-Rockefeller Standard Oil company. I think they'll be down, of course, but being a bigger player, they already will have diverted a lot of capital into green projects and all sorts of other nonsense and malarkey. So possibly not as far down as the pure plays, but I still think it's going to be ugly. Tesla is turning into an insurance company. Yeah, the financialization of everything. Yeah, I don't agree with this Wales analysis, Tristan, about it going to 2.5, and these algos have worked it out. I'm not sure who, and unless someone can explain the logic to me, I'm going to stick to my scenario. Peter Schiff was right. Bitcoin trash and gold is the real safe haven. Maybe, they could send Bitcoin to zero, and it was just a distraction to keep us out of gold. But I'm not sure. I think there's something coming out of crypto. That kind of digitalized money is going to come. I'm not saying Bitcoin will always survive. You're going to maybe one day have to get out of Bitcoin for something else. But for now, it's the one. Enjoy your videos and viewpoints. Pleasure, hands-on. Thank you for the comment. Will oil down after gold price? Will oil down? So we do charting of oil versus gold. And we said it's been in a down channel and it had a transition at 16, and then it's been in an up channel. And we predicted that the number of oil barrels a single gold ounce will buy will go up a lot higher. So we were doing relative commodity assessment because the currencies in the fiat are garbage, are being proliferated, and are rubbish. So it's nice to measure things that don't change. Oil barrel has a use, and gold has a certain amount of use. I have suspicions they will sell off equities and transform with clean money and never let gold flourish. I think they will set up an SDR type structure, might not have the name SDR. SDRs, I think, are going to come to play more initially to bail out countries and be available to corporations and institutions, and then they'll let it proliferate down to the peasants. And you can feel privileged that you too can have an SDR, and that gold might make up some percentage of the SDR to give it that tangibility value and get faith. You see, the whole system with fiat just means faith in Latin. They need you to believe in it. That's all. It doesn't have to have value. You have to happen to accept token X piece of paper or digital money in your account for payment of services rendered. So if they say it's part backed by gold, 10% of it gold, then there's the yuan, the renminbi, the Swiss, and all of these big currencies. You'll say, well, if one goes to pot, the others are doing well, they balance out, they'll give you a portfolio. So you'll end up having an SDR. There already is SDR money. You can get it on TradingView. You can find out. I think it literally is SDR. You can check what the SDR is in the dollar, and you can chart it. It just doesn't have a lot of history at the moment. Crypto is a fantasy, in my opinion. You may be right. New blue gas will kill Tesla. Yeah, the shale companies are going to be hammered. You with the Chinese writing, you are correct. Omar Pian, I will soon buy nat gas. I would not advise that. I think the energy shakeout could be longer and harder than you think. And things that look low can still go lower, even though they look like they're bottoming in low. I know it's been very tempting. I would say try not be the bottom caller there, but that's just me. So you think real estate is a bad investment right now? I think prices will drop and there'll be fear and there's going to be a dash to cash. So you can make good purchases potentially, but wait for the pain to reach max level. We're beginning the pain period. There's going to be distress coming. You needed to roll into the debt crisis and the banking crisis. That's what comes next. Initially, it's coronavirus, and then it's emerging markets. This is all at the fringes. You needed to turn into a debt crisis of junk debt. Then that spills over into the bigger debt crisis on bigger corporations with real names. Then the banks that are standing behind them start to run into trouble, and then the government needs to bail this industry and that bank out. You need to wait for those stages to develop. Once everyone's talking about banks and banks are doing no lending and they're looking at each other like the other guy's sick and they don't want to borrow from him or lend to him, and more specifically, that's the moment where your cash will buy you well. And that's when people that have to sell are forced sellers, can't get finance, and will need to take anything. And that's when you, the man with cash, will be able to buy. And we're not there yet. Bank bail-in's possible, so you've got to be wary of where your cash is. That's true. So just when you think you're going to have cash and you can buy, you should have spread. Stay within your deposit guaranteed minimums. Don't have $250,000 and $1 million in two bank accounts. Rather have 50 grand, if that's the limit, in 5 bank accounts. House of Cards, bank bail-ins. Corona is being blamed for all this skullduggery. Yes, it's a handy cover. I think it's a handy cover for bringing this whole thing down. Excellent. Fine people. I will be capturing and taking this forward as the week unfurls. We may look to do a few more of these live streams. So here's what I'd like you to know. There's a mini series if you want to learn a little bit about the method and get a feel if this is something you want to do. It's totally free. We don't spam you. Go watch it. If you want to talk about getting method, book a call. Otherwise, stay a fan on YouTube. It's all good. I don't monetize these damn things. I don't try and make any money out of it. You don't get ads. Generally, we're not really selling anything. If you would like a broker, I've got a great broker below, but you don't have to do anything if you don't want to. They're good guys. I've met them. I've seen their premises. I understand what they do, and their platform works amazingly on CTrader. And it supports me a little bit, but you'll get great rates. It's not affected by the fact that I'm affiliating that. There's also Bullion Vault. I don't even think they know who I am anymore, and they haven't paid me anything at all, but I use them, and so I put the link in there for you. So I'm not heavy on needing to monetize these things, and I don't do ads on the YouTube. So it's totally free to follow and enjoy, and we're on Twitter. So so enjoy it. Do you believe that oil going south, that fuel prices will drop? They should, but they're going to, like all governments, they'll be slow. And the tax is often the bigger amount, remember. And some of that tax is not percentage-based, it's fixed. So the percentage drop, particularly in the places like the UK, very high tax on fuel. It's 80% tax. So, you can have a 20%, 25% drop in the inputs, but they'll lag it for a while. So they'll skim on you. A large part of it will be tax, so they won't pass it all on. Some of that fixed tax will be fixed. And there will be a little bit of a benefit, but they don't like the idea of you getting too much benefit. It's too much an opportunity for them to buffer and build slush fund. So, other nations are similar. South Africa, I'm sitting in here, has quite a bit of tax. US, generally not too bad, pretty cheap, but still has tax. Euroland, quite a bit of tax, not quite as bad as UK. I think UK is one of the worst. Will silver take time to go up? I heard it's the poor man's gold. So after gold has a good run, silver will then go. Yes, that's the good view. Annaline, nice to see you. Thank you. Great to have the ladies. Happy Ladies' Day. Rourke McLean, appreciate you. Yes, we do. Thank you. I appreciate all you guys for coming on. Keep safe in the EU. Pay as little tax as you can humanly do legally. Find out how. Potentially look at the 5 flags policy we discuss, and maybe a very powerful residency inside our community. We discuss this further. I'm going to let you guys sleep. Thank you for coming. Bless you. And we have together shared and seen the opening of a major event, which is a bit of a shoe to drop. $9 drop, 25% down in Brent, plus the USD ruble and emerging currencies gapping open on Sunday night on a very, very uncomfortable part of the market, both in currencies and in commodities. It's going to start dicey this week. If you are in equities and shares, maybe take some put options or close some of them, or get some of them in defensive, maybe the miners, as gold goes up. All our main themes of buying gold, silver, and getting into gold and silver mines are actually paying. Going short on oil have actually paid. We do have some good ideas, and you can find out more about them if you want to become a member of the community, or you can just follow the channel and get what you do. Okay, good evening and have a great time, and thanks for watching. And share this video still afterwards. The recording will be up. We appreciate that if that's one thing you do. God bless you all. Enjoy your evening from here and rest well, and play it safe out there in the week. Trade small and smart. Don't chase in when there's already been volatile moves. Okay, if I can give you one thing, and use limit orders. Avoid the temptation of instant gratification of being in. Try work an order. The entry matters. It buys you more space for your stop. Okay, bye for now.